Spring training is just around the corner. There's a bunch of new names on this page. Let's jump in to see what we've been up to. First, the Cubs decided they wanted to stock up on useless minor league pitchers at the winter meetings. Despite some fear of dealing with them again and getting into another Cheeto Martinez mess, I was pretty happy to land this one. Probably about as lopsided of a trade as I'll ever get, given my settings and house rules. We got Bill Mueller, young third baseman with just 1 year of experience. Brings a sweet on-base profile. Could be great for the top of my order. Overall weakness is his defense, though. I mean, he is a third baseman, but he's a pretty poor one at that. I'm hopeful that some more playing time will bump his overall third base rating up a notch or two, but it's never really going to be his strength. We really only had to give up one player of any interest for him, and it's Joel Johnson, who will instantly slot in as the Cubs closer. He hadn't even made my 40-man roster yet. He's going to be a good reliever, no doubt. Maybe closer material as he peaks. But with the Astros, we got tons of relief depth and closer depth. So really, we were dealing with it from an area of strength. So hopefully he doesn't burn us too much as a Cub. We made a second trade during the winter meetings. That one was the Orioles. It was a 3 for 2 or 2 for 3 technically, but really a 1 for 2. The players we got were first Greg Colbrun, who is a great defensive catcher and should complement Chris Hoiles really well. He's really good, and it gives me the option of actually trading Hoiles if it helps me get a different piece. Now, my assistant general manager is not going for anything that involves Chris Hoiles, so it looks like I won't be able to trade him anytime soon, which isn't the worst thing in the world. I'll still happy to keep Chris Hoiles. But this gives me some great options at catcher now. Second piece I got was Rich Garces. He'll head to AAA, probably just for a season or so, unless I have injuries. Looks like he'll be a good reliever for me in the next couple of seasons. Still has some growth in all three of the major pitching categories, so hopefully he picks that up. Another good reliever to pick up as depth, even with the loss of Joel Johnson. And then the one player I lost, who's actually a Cub now, I sent Greg Kegel to the Orioles, and they actually just flipped him to the Cubs on January 31st, so 2 days ago in game time. Orioles got Richie Sexson, but Kegel's the number 100 prospect in baseball. And normally I'd estimate he'll probably turn into like a mid-rotation starter with this profile. Not bad at all. But of course, now he's a Cub, so they'll turn him into something out of nothing. He'll be the next Pedro Martinez and humiliate me for the next several seasons. Who knows? We'll see. So that was the two trades we made. We've also signed some free agents. John Wetland is the first one. He had a down year in 1995. But he still looks like a top 10 closer to me, and we got him at a bargain. 2 years, $500,000 a year. I will take that all day. We also signed Tommy Green on a 1-year deal, basically be our fourth starter. He's got just a 3-pitch arsenal, not the highest stamina, so he's not really going to go terribly deep into games. But I signed him because I really like the upside. And if he picks up on that early in the year somehow, then maybe we look extension. But at a minimum, this is a great deal for a number 4 starter. And then we also signed David Justice to platoon in right field. This could end up being a mistake, given how the rest of our roster might be coming together. We will see. More on that in a minute, but before we do that, let's take a look at our rivals, starting with the Chicago Cubs. They still have some stars. They got Pedro Martinez, Jason Giambi, Chipper Jones, the names, if you've been following, that you're used to. Handful of complimentary players as well. There's way too much crap on this team. They've signed nobody in the offseason, and they've lost a lot of good players, including, drumroll, Kenny Lofton is the first big name that they've lost. He signed a $33 million deal with the Pittsburgh Pirates. Pirates, also in my division, not too worried. They lost a bunch of big names as well, so not worried about them as a threat. So it's just a good thing that Lofton's off the Cubs. Cubs are also going to lose Matt Stark, who was a very good defensive catcher and actually had a very good season at the plate as well. Big numbers in 1995. He's still unsigned, but it's not going to be with the Cubs. They don't have any money to spend. And the Cubs have also lost Delino DeShields, who is a pretty good offensive second baseman and brings a lot of speed as well. He's actually might be another bargain with only looking for $850,000. He's still unsigned. Is an option for a lot of teams. So that's it for the Cubs. It certainly feels like they're taking a huge step back. The Reds have made a lot of noise this offseason. Probably not enough to really threaten us, but it still bears watching. They still have a little bit of money left. Chris Nabholz started their off season. They signed him to a $22 million deal over 7 seasons or something like that. He gives the Reds a legitimate ace now. They also got Monty Ferris from the San Diego Padres on a $17 million deal. He doesn't hit for a huge average, but he's got good pop for a catcher, walks a lot, and is very good defensively at shortstop. And then they signed the captain. Looks like Pedro Guerrero is going to finish his illustrious career in Cincinnati after signing an $8 million deal. He got a 3-year deal at age 39. This will actually be the first time he's played for a team outside of California. He's been with the Dodgers, the Padres, and the Angels, so he's finally stepping outside. Still really productive despite the age. 3,000 hits is still a possibility for this man. He needs 550 over 3 seasons. I wouldn't bet on it, but I would never bet against Pedro Guerrero either. And then, speaking of the team that he just left, the Angels, they were another team that made, at least it seems like they're making a big run this offseason. They've assembled a pretty darn good pitching staff, and I have a feeling that's going to allow them to climb back into contention. They already had Brad Radke, and he's a Cy Young threat at this point. And now they've added Brett Saberhagen, who signed on a $16 million deal. Gonna be one of the better number 2 starters in the league. He's 31 now, but he's got that Iron Man injury proneness, and he's got 172 wins at age 31. If you give him 7 more seasons at 18 wins a pop, does he, or 7 more seasons, yeah, 18, like he gets pretty close to 300, so we'll see if he can, if that Iron Man status truly does carry him into the upper 30s. The Angels also signed Jack McDowell, another good addition. He's won 12 games every season since he's been in the big leagues. Got himself a World Series ring with the Rangers in the process, and he'll slide in as a pretty nice number 3 starter for the California. Nothing really interesting happened in the Rule 5 draft. We'll jump straight to the first-year player draft. The first overall player selected was Francisco Cordova, who was really the prize, going to the Tigers at number 1. He's pitched in Mexico already in his real-life career, so fully developed, and probably see him in Detroit pretty quickly. Roy Halladay is the second overall pick, going to the Blue Jays, where he started his career in real life after he got drafted by the Marlins last season, 9th, but did not sign. Aramis Ramirez also goes to a familiar team. He was picked 5th by the Brewers, and he played there in real life late in his career. Livan Hernandez went 10th to the Marlins, so we'll see if he can duplicate that real-life playoff magic with them in this career. And then our Astros selected Ted Lilly with our first round pick, 22nd overall, hoping that he'll be a middle-of-the-order starter. Pretty well-suited for the Astrodome, as a lot of our pitchers are. And then here's the rest of our draft class for the season. A couple noteworthy picks to go over. Damian Stapp was a supplemental first-round draft pick because of Ken Griffey Jr. signing with the Phillies. Looks like he may be a backup catcher at some point. Not great defense, but he'll hit pretty well for a catcher. D. Brown, maybe 4th outfielder type. Pretty good bat, doesn't field that well. Strikes out a lot. We'll see if he can potentially develop into more. He was another supplemental first-round pick. George Pace signed before the deadline. So we got this pick as well in compensation. Jason Marquis is our second round draft pick. Maybe he'll turn into something, maybe he won't. Similar to Lily, looks like he's going to give. He doesn't have a lot of movement, so he'll give a lot of hard contact up, but strikes out a decent amount. If he can develop some control, maybe he'll turn into something for us. Zach Day was our third round draft pick. Interesting profile. He's only 18, yet he's pretty fully developed. Might be kind of a break glass solution if we get into an emergency situation. That's some of the key draft picks we've got. And then here are the remaining free agents as of February 2nd. We got $5.5 million to spend still. And what do we want to do with it is the question. So Greg Jeffries is still looking for a team. And despite the Bill Mueller trade, he's got to be the target. He's really an elite player. Here's the contract he wants. The question really is, can I get him for cheaper? He's probably worth like $3 to $4 million per season if you go by what some of the other top players are making. Jeffries is still asking for $4.4 million. Maybe I can do something to change that. Daryl Sherman's out there still as well. And he, on the other hand, has dropped his salary demands from earlier in the offseason. Really, the only thing stopping me or even slowing me down is the 7-year commitment that he wants. Got Carlos Beltran and Andrew Jones in the minors. I really only need someone for a couple of years. 7 feels a little bit excessive given that he would end the contract at age 36. But if I can get him on a 3 or 4 year deal, that would be ideal. Walter McConnell is still out there as well, kind of like a consolation option. If for some reason I don't get Jeffries, I'd probably prefer to develop Bill Mueller at this position instead of going after a stopgap like McConnell, but never know, things could change. And then that's the salary that McConnell wants. 1 year, $800K, very, very doable. Jeff Bagwell is still sitting out there as well. I don't really need a first baseman, but I don't have Jeff Bagwell either. So no way I'm signing him to this contract, which is what he's looking for at the moment, but maybe if he drops his price, it's something I could potentially pounce on. And we still have a couple other trade possibilities floating out there. This one's for a young prospect by the name of Jeff Ware, who, as you can tell, is pretty promising. It would cost me 3 quote-unquote average starting prospects. Can't get my assistant GM to go along with it, though, which is part of the house rules, so no deal yet. Maybe someone's going to change their mind in the next couple of weeks. And then one other deal that is finished, my assistant GM goes, and the Red Sox go with it. I'm just not sure if I want to do it, is getting Jose Martinez, who is definitely an ace, although a fragile one, who's owed $3.3 million for this season. He'd cost me Lenny Brucher, who's my captain, although Jose Martinez is a captain as well, so that is kind of a neutral thing. And then a couple of sort of minor pieces. They're definitely useful pieces, but you know they're still worth something as well. So I'm kind of viewing this as a backup option in the event that I don't sign Craig Jeffries. But yeah, these are 2 that are still floating out there. So that is the situation that's about to unfold. If you like the content, please give me a thumbs up and help others find the video. And if you saw something you think I should do, or maybe have a question or some advice, please leave a comment. Otherwise, I will see you guys for opening day.